Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And as we wait for C-band to clear later on this year, Verizon is pushing very heavily to clear this as early as Q3. So be looking forward to some of this launching earlier than the December timeframe. And AT&T, of course, they're deploying C-band as well. But with AT&T, it's a wait and see approach because a lot of their acceleration is dependent on the spin-off of media, which is not the merger of Discovery and Warner Media is not expected to close until the second half of next year. So from now until then, I'm taking a wait and see approach on AT&T in terms of how quickly they're going to accelerate their C-band deployment and to see what volume millimeter wave is going to be deployed at. People are telling me it's coming in at a pretty solid pace, but I'm still taking a wait and see approach from AT&T because a lot of the plans that they've recently changed where they doubled the C-band pops covered in the same time frame is literally dependent on the spin-off of media and them pushing and them accelerating the capex, which in return is going to accelerate deployments, which means more C-band, more millimeter wave. The company right now that's on T-Mobile's heels is going to be Verizon. Why is it Verizon? Because Verizon doesn't have to wait for a media spin-off or a merger to close. They have accelerated funding right now. Tech Extremist is telling me, and I'll leave his videos, his channel in the description down below, is telling me there's a large cluster of upgrades happening in the Phoenix, Arizona area right now. Cables hanging loose, boom lifts at the sites, they're moving. And this is exactly what I expected and anticipated. Once that network machine that Verizon is currently in the process of building gets going, it's going to be very hard to stop it. There's funding in place. There's additional funding for acceleration. Everything is lining up perfectly for Verizon. So at the Analyst Day, Hans Vestberg discussed that 50% of the 7,000 to 8,000 cell sites that they want to touch by the end of this year, that equipment already has been purchased. Purchase orders created, it's purchased, it's in-house. The equipment it's in the warehouse. So they're going to be pushing. They're going to be running through these top 46 PEAs very quickly. I anticipate them to get to 100 million covered before March of 2022. That's the anticipated target time frame to get to that 100 million. They get there before that. They're going to move very, very aggressively. The network modeling just calls for it. Verizon is a very well-oiled machine. They've been through this before. They've been through it with XLTE. They've been through it with AWS3, Band 66. They had to get that additionally added in. And then, of course, we're still waiting on them to fully deploy DSS nationwide. That's in the works. So I predict that all to come together with these upcoming deployments. So in some cases where the cell site is already ready with DSS, N5, and has everything else, and it's up to date and more modern, they'll likely just add the C-band panel and the radios necessary and call it a day. Some of the other sites that are not up to date, that are not modernized fully, those will get upgraded completely. They'll get a full rip and replace. New panels, new radios across the board. And that's how I expect Verizon to approach this massive network build out. They want to get this done as quickly as possible, as effective as possible, and as efficient as possible. So they're not playing any games. The network engineers at the local levels have the network plans. They have the modelings. Some of these are 3-4 years out, and they're going to work through those. Remember, per the FCC, sites that have pre-existing LTE equipment no longer require permits to be touched. So those sites, they can immediately touch those sites as soon as the equipment is in-house, and they can get it upgraded. Cables connected, get everything connected at the baseband unit, rip the baseband unit if a new one is needed, and then move on to the next site. That's how quickly they're going to move through this. If some of these do clear in Q3, we're going to start, just to flip up a switch. Boom, it's on. And then, of course, there's still some optimizing that needs to happen. Verizon is clearly the best at optimizing, and they're going to move through 2022 at an even more aggressive pace. The only thing right now that's really holding Verizon back is that the B block does not clear until December 23. I think it does clear a little early. They're going to start working with the satellite companies to clear it before that time frame, but that's right now the only thing that's holding Verizon back. Will they start scaling outside of the top 46 PEAs before the time frame December 2023? Yes, I believe so. I think not the beginning, but like middle towards end of 2022, we're going to start seeing C-band go up in some of the markets where it doesn't clear until December 2023. And I think that's the kind of pace Verizon will work at. They're going to start adding this in well before it even clears in these markets. So those markets could potentially be at a very high completion rate of having C-band on the macros before it even clears. And then when the flip is switched and it launches the C-band in clusters, it's going to be an immediate speed boost across the entire network, not just one site, two site, three sites. It could be 70-80% of the entire macro grid from one day to the next could have C-band active. And that's how Verizon deploys its network. They've done it during XLTE. It wasn't launched on a site-by-site basis. It was launched in large clusters. And I think that's the same approach that they're going to take with the C-band deployment. And in fact, this is going to be likely the quickest deployment we will ever see by any carrier. Now, XLTE was pretty quick. I got to give them that. But when they had their ducks all lined up in a row, they had 3-4 network teams in some cities ready to go. Equipment ready, boom lifts ready, workers ready. Let's attack this market. And within 6 months, an entire market can be completed 100%, depending on how aggressive they want to be in certain markets. So again, AT&T, I didn't talk about them much because it's still a wait and see approach. Right now, they're going to deploy C-band, of course, as you've seen on the channel. It's already being put up. Millimeter wave as well. But we don't know what that acceleration and looks like because it's a wait and see approach on the Time Warner spinoff. When that spinoff happens and it's completed, AT&T's capex goes up to $24 billion immediately after close. And that's when we will get to that acceleration of them covering 200 million pops of C-band and millimeter wave. Do we see some accelerating before that? Of course, AT&T is still going to spend between 13 to 15 billion on capex on wireless. That's still a lot of money, but a good chunk of the capex is they still have a commitment towards Time Warner until it's merged with Discovery. So there's still an investment going towards that now. So not as much as being spent as what they're going to spend after the merger closes, but it's a good indication of how they will position the network and where they're going to take this. But $24 billion is a lot of money, makes you very flexible on how you want to spend it. So AT&T I think is really going to accelerate this build out after the merger is completed with Time Warner and Discovery Plus. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Look forward to reading your comments. If you have been on the channel or you're new to the channel and you have not yet liked, shared, subscribed, make sure you do so. Hit the notification bell so you are notified when I do upload content. Make sure to follow the social media outlets for more updates and interactions. Thanks again for watching. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.